The transport pod hissed open in Harry's modest quarters aboard the mining station Kepler-7, and what emerged made his stomach drop. Akim stepped out on unsteady legs, her violet skin mottled with bruises that ran from her delicate collarbone down her arms. The Zelthari woman was supposed to arrive as part of the controversial Interspecies Integration Program, a diplomatic arrangement between Earth and the Zelthari Collective to foster peace. Through arranged partnerships, she wasn't supposed to look like she'd been through a war. Jesus Christ, Harry breathed, rushing forward as Akim swayed. He caught her before she collapsed, feeling how light she was despite being nearly his height. Her large opalescent eyes met his, 4 of them arranged in pairs, and he saw fear there. Deep primal fear. "Please," she whispered in heavily accented standard. "Please, do not send me back." Harry's jaw clenched. He'd signed up for this program reluctantly, pressured by the colonial administration that needed to meet integration quotas. A lonely mining engineer getting a companion seemed like a fair trade for tax breaks. But this was something else entirely. "I'm not sending you anywhere," he said firmly, guiding her to his couch. "Let me get the med kit." As he worked, scanning her injuries with trembling hands, Akim began to speak. Her voice was soft, musical, but the words were daggers. The Zelthari Collective hadn't sent volunteers. They'd sent prisoners, dissidents, anyone who'd spoken against their authoritarian regime. The integration program was a way to dispose of troublemakers while maintaining diplomatic relations with humanity. Akim had been a teacher who dared to educate children about their planet's pre-conquest history. Her bruises were parting gifts from the transport guards. Harry's hands stilled over the dermal regenerator. "They've been doing this to all the brides." "Not just brides," Akim said quietly. "The male volunteers too. All of us are unwanted. Disposable." Something cold and hard settled in Harry's chest. He'd grown up on Earth in the ruins of old Detroit, where his grandfather had told him stories about humanity's darkest hours, and how they'd clawed their way back. How they'd learned that strength wasn't just about weapons or technology. It was about standing up when standing up was hard. "We need to contact Earth Command," Harry said, but Akim grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "No, they have our families. They have my sister's children. If I speak out, they die." Harry looked into her 4 eyes and saw the terrible calculation there. Stay silent and suffer, or speak and condemn innocence. He'd seen that look before, in the mirror years ago, when he'd been too afraid to report the accidents in the deep mines, too scared of losing his job to speak up about safety violations. 3 miners had died before he'd found his courage. Never again, he'd promised himself. "Then we'll be smart about it," Harry said. "But we're not doing nothing." Over the next 3 weeks, Harry and Akim worked in secret. She taught him about Zelthari communication protocols while he taught her about human networks and data encryption. They reached out carefully, quietly to other integrated pairs across the colonial stations. The stories that came back made Harry's blood boil. Beatings, coercion, threats. The Zelthari Collective had turned a peace program into a pressure valve for their internal repression, and Earth's bureaucrats had been too eager for diplomatic success to ask questions. But here was the thing about humans that aliens consistently underestimated. They were stubborn. And when they decided something was wrong, they didn't just complain, they built solutions. Harry was a mining engineer. He knew explosives, yes, but more importantly, he knew logistics, supply chains, communication networks. He knew how to coordinate complex operations across vast distances with minimal resources. Akim was a teacher. She knew how to organize, how to inspire, how to help people see the bigger picture. Together, they built something the Zelthari Collective never saw coming. A resistance network that spanned 12 colonial stations and 3 orbital platforms. The proof came first. Encrypted data packets, time-stamped and verified, showing the abuse. Medical scans. Testimonies. Intercepted communications from Zelthari officials laughing about their trash disposal program. Harry sent it to every news outlet, every congressional representative, every military liaison he could find. But he didn't stop there. Akim helped him draft a message in Zelthari, which they broadcast on every frequency the collective monitored. "We know what you're doing. We have proof. We have witnesses. And we will not be silent." The response was swift. A Zelthari warship appeared above Kepler-7 within 48 hours. demanding Akim's extradition for treaty violations. The station administrator was preparing to comply when Harry did something crazy. He armed the mining charges. All of them. Enough explosive to crack an asteroid, now arranged around the station's critical infrastructure. Not to destroy it, but as a very clear message. Then he sent a transmission, open channel, to both the Zelthari warship and Earth Command. The human race has seen what happens when we let expedience override ethics. We've made that mistake before. We won't make it again. Akim and everyone like her are under human protection now. You want them? Go through us. It was a bluff. Mostly. Harry had no authority to declare such a thing, but every other human on that station backed him up. Then the next station. Then the next within a week. Earth's government, facing overwhelming public outrage and a potential mutiny across the colonial network, officially revoked the integration treaties and demanded the collective free the families being held hostage. The Zelthari collective backed down. They had to, because they'd forgotten the most important thing about humanity. Humans had learned through centuries of their own mistakes that some lines shouldn't be crossed. And once humans drew a line, they held it. Harry stood with Akim on the observation deck as the Zelthari warship retreated, her hand in his. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you," Harry replied. "You reminded me why we fought so hard to get out here. Not to build empires. To make sure this kind of thing never happens to anyone anywhere." Akim smiled, all four eyes shining with tears. "Perhaps your species lives up to the stories after all." Harry squeezed her hand. "We're working on it. Every damn day."